Hello, my name is Chadomir Nestorovic, and I'm a professor at the SEC Business School here in Singapore. And today we will talk about the referendum in Catalonia, which happened yesterday. Catalonia is asking for referendum for a wide variety of reasons. The first one is obviously a historical one. If we ask any Catalan, this person will first talk about history by indicating that Catalonia used to be independent for a very long time. Historians are debating how very long, but if we are taking the longest period of time, in that case we talk about a period of 1,000 years. So they say that the history of Catalonia is even longer than the history of Spain that we know about today. So for 1,000 years they used to be independent, and during the Franco years, that is just before the Second World War and after the Second World War, they will also advocate the fact that they have been oppressed for a very long time. So only after the death of Franco, they used to have a possibility to enjoy some freedom and some autonomy. So this is why they are insisting on history in order to say that there is a huge history of oppression from the Spanish side, and the time is coming for them to recover some kind of independence. This is the historical reason, but the historical reason is not the only one. The second reason is the political reason. So the political reason says that in today's world, especially in the European Union, it is impossible to impeach one population to express what they want. Would it be independence? Would it be to stay within Spain? They will come to the conclusion that it's impossible not to let people express their own will. So they are relying on democracy in order to say that there is no other way how to know how the population would like to see its future. Would it be within Spain, or would it be as an independent country? Anyway, whatever the issue is, they still want to be part of the European Union, but that's another issue about the internationalization of the issue. So they are looking at the democracy, and they are focusing on this in order to say that there is no way how a democratic will, especially if it is a majority democratic will be impeached. The third reason, which is very often used as the first reason sometimes, is the economic reason. The economic reason stems from the fact that Catalonia is considered, and really is, the richest region that we have in Spain. So as the richest region, there is a discrepancy between its contribution to the central budget on one side and the amount of money they receive from the central budget on the other side. This is why many Catalans are considering that Spain, in that case Madrid, is robbing them, meaning they are taking money from them and they're not giving it back to Catalonia. In order to assess what is the size of this discrepancy, there are various estimates about that, from 6 billion to 11 billion dollars per year, or euros. And this is a large sum because it can represent practically 10% or 12% of the total GDP in Catalonia. So definitely there is one reason, which is the economic one, which can explain why Catalans are looking for independence. On the other side, it is also the reason why Spanish side is against independence. They are focusing on the solidarity, the fact that the richer regions should help the poor regions. Since this is also happening in the European Union, they will consider that it is a universal principle. Would the country or would the region will be independent, they will still have to help the poorest one. For instance, they will insist on the fact that there are also poor municipalities within Catalonia. So if it happens that Catalonia becomes independent, will Barcelona, as the richest part of Catalonia, help the poorest parts of Catalonia itself? This is the reversal side that we can have about the richest regions versus the poor regions. What happened on Sunday, 1st of October 2017, is that the Catalan independentists organized a referendum in Catalonia, and there was a clash between the Spanish police, which has been dispatched there in order to impede the referendum, and the will of the Catalan nationalists in order to organize it. So, in spite of the fact that the Spanish police tried to impede the referendum, this referendum was organized. The results which have been released late in the night are showing that about 90% of people participating in the referendum voted for independence. That was expected because people who were against the referendum boycotted this one. So in that case, obviously, we had a high result for the yes, for independence. However, it is hard to imagine that international recognition will follow this because so far no country has accepted the results of this referendum. What will happen next? This is the big question that we can have about the referendum in Catalonia. There are basically two options. The first one is that the confrontation continues in Catalonia. The Spanish side is not inclined to revise its opinion because there was no example in history where the central government opposed the referendum and the referendum was accepted by other countries. This was the case in Timor, this was the case for Brexit, this was the case for Scotland. The only cases where we have a referendum which was deemed to be illegal, but nevertheless accepted by some countries, was the referendum happening in 4 former Yugoslav countries, that is Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, and Macedonia. But at that time, Yugoslavia was a federal state, and at that time, in the 90s, we didn't know where the power was, because the country was falling apart. This is not the case concerning Spain. For the Catalan side, they are also not inclined to revise their position because they strongly believe that Madrid will never accept a large autonomy, which they claimed for a few years ago, and they believe that the only issue is to go for the confrontation. On the other side, they also know that they didn't have the majority for the referendum before it has been held, but today, with all the violence which happened yesterday, maybe there is a part of the population which has been radicalized. However, I don't believe that the confrontation will happen because it doesn't suit the real interest for everyone. What will happen probably is the stalemate, where both sides will claim that they won a victory for the referendum. The Spanish side did not permit it to happen, so they will declare it nil. The Catalan side will say that it happened, but maybe they will not declare independence immediately because it might be the point of no return. So I believe that in the future there will be kind of negotiations starting between Madrid and Barcelona on this issue.